So what are you so afraid of? What's going on, guys? My name is JK, and this is JK is Hiking, where I'm all about hiking, backpacking, and gear. And today I want to talk to you about something that can pause a backpacker in their tracks. Something that can take a trip that should have been amazing and make it awful. Something that can cause so much terror on a backpacker that their back is in pain by the end of the day. And I'm talking about packing your fears. Basically, what I'm talking about is that question that you ask yourself when you're packing for a trip and you say, what if? I mean, what happens if you get to camp and you only brought one thing of paracord? I mean, don't you need two things of paracord? I mean, wouldn't you want to have like different kinds of paracord? I mean, it's got to be reflective, because if it's not reflective, you could trip over it at night. And if you trip over it at night, then you have all kinds of problems. But if I don't have enough paracord, my tarp might blow away or my tent might blow away. And then I'm in trouble because that's hundreds of dollars out of my pocket and I don't know what I'm going to do. I think you can see what I'm talking about. You can get a little irrational at times when you play the what if game. So let's take a moment and let's talk about a few places where especially beginning backpackers really struggle with understanding how to pack, but not pack for their fears. When you're packing for your fears, you tend to bring way more stuff than you need to. And what ends up happening is you have a heavier pack, you're a little bit more miserable on the trip for that day, and when you get to camp at night, you're kind of wondering why you even came. And sometimes when you bring all this stuff, you don't know what you brought just in case of and what you brought that you actually meant to use. So what ends up happening is you have a lot of stuff in your backpack which you're probably never actually gonna have any need for. The first thing I want to talk about is food. See, because this is the part that I struggle with. This is the thing that for me, I'm not real good at. I am always afraid that I'm not going to have enough food. I mean, quite honestly, I could probably go like days without eating and probably survive just fine. Yeah. Fat. If you don't have enough calories, you do burn out when you're on a trail, especially if you're doing long miles. And for me, when I take my food out, I take it out in this gigantic food bag by Hilltop Packs. And this bag is awesome, but there's a problem with this bear bag for me. The problem is it's big. And if you're like anybody else, oh, I could fit this in there. And if it's big enough, I could fit this in there. And before too long, I'm sitting with pounds and pounds of food that I'm not gonna eat. My wife could tell you, every time I come back from a backpacking trip, I've got tons of food left over. And it's stuff that I've been sitting on my back for the entire weekend that I just didn't need to take with me. But because I had this huge bag, I tend to fill it up. As you can see, my old bear bag was much smaller, and so I didn't quite pack it with as much food, but I always made sure it was full. Now, am I saying either bear bag is better than the other? That's not what I'm trying to say. What I am saying is a lot of times when we're packing for the backcountry, if we take a bigger bag, we tend to fill it. And so I always bring way more than I need. If you're like me on that, maybe a good idea is to get a smaller bear bag for your weekend trips and a bigger bear bag for those week-long, 2-week trips that you may be going on. For me, I know it's something I struggle with, and it's something I have to fight every time I pack for the backcountry. Back when I first started hiking a lot, I spent a lot of time in the Red River Gorge, and I noticed a lot of backpackers. I noticed a lot of backpackers also carrying these things filled with water. And I'm not just talking like half full or a third full. I'm talking they would carry 2 or 3 a piece down into the woods. And I remember thinking to myself, if this is how you're supposed to take water into the woods, I don't want to be a backpacker. When you first start backpacking, hydration is a legitimate fear. You need to drink water, and if you're not drinking enough water, you're gonna suffer. And so understanding how to hydrate is very, very important, but it's also something that can drive people to do crazy things like carry multiple milk jugs full of water out on the trail with them. For me, whenever I go out into the backcountry, this is pretty much what I take every time I go out. I typically take 2 water bottles, a liter water bottle and a 24-ounce water bottle, both of the Smart Water brand or Life Water brands. These are fantastic bottles to take out. They're super lightweight, And honestly, if you're taking a filter with you, you don't need to take multiple gallons of water with you. And the filter that I trust the most is the Sawyer Squeeze. This thing just doesn't fail. It is rock solid. I've never had a problem with this. I've had this filter now for about a year and a half, and it has done a fantastic job from day one. The flow rate is fantastic. I've had it in cold weather. I've had it in some really gross water, and every time this thing has worked like a pro. If you're new to backpacking, filtering water is so much easier than it used to be. You don't have to worry about hand pumps. You don't have to do a lot of other difficult things. You literally just connect a dirty water bag to the back of this, connect the other end to your bottle, and just squeeze the water through the filter. And it's some of the best tasting water you're ever gonna have. And if filtering your water makes you feel uncomfortable in any way, you still don't feel like that's good enough, we've also got these awesome tablets that you can pick up. They're great for just putting into your water to purify it. It gives it a little bit of a funky flavor sometimes, but you know your water is purified. You know that any bacteria, any viruses, those things are killed. These are actually potable aqua that I'm using. Aqua Mira is another really popular brand that a lot of people use. You just drop these tablets into your water, give them about 30 minutes to dissolve, shake it up, and your water's purified. If drinking out of a pond or a creek just freaks you out, I promise you, filtering it will make the water just fine, but if you're still uncomfortable, you can get tablets like these that are gonna take care of your water, make sure it's pure, so you don't have to live in fear of not having drinking water when you're on the trail. So toss that thing, get yourself some different bottles, like the Life Water, Smart Water bottles. A lot of people use Gatorade bottles, but lower the volume of water that you bring based on the situation you're in. The truth is, if you're out west and you're in the desert, you're probably gonna have to bring some extra water with you. But if you're here in the Midwest or in the South where there's a lot of creeks, a lot of rivers, a lot of places to get water, you don't have the need to carry in gallons and gallons and gallons of water with you when you go backpacking. So don't fear and be confident in knowing that you can do it easier and you don't have to wear yourself out. The third thing that a lot of guys like to do when they go in the backcountries, they like to bring knives with them. And when I went on the Sheltowee Trace, I brought this little bitty knife right here. This is just a small Swiss Army knife. It's got a pair of scissors in it that you can use, which I think there's some Leuko tape still stuck to these. A simple little blade. Actually, this blade, I was able to eat a steak with it when I was backpacking with Jason Wall, which was awesome. But this was all I needed when I was backpacking and for months. It was the only knife I used. I didn't feel the need to bring anything else. Part of the reason that I didn't need some kind of major knife was because I wasn't having a fire every night when I was hiking the Sheltowee. My goal was long miles, not making fires. And so I had no reason to bring a bigger knife that could make kindling or do any of that kind of stuff. But now that I'm doing a lot more weekend trips and I'm actually spending more time with my buddies and we're doing fires at night, I need something that I can cut up kindling. A lot of times we're bringing steaks or chicken or something out there for that first night, and I want a little bit better knife than a Swiss Army knife to try and cut my food. So now when I go out to the backcountry, I take this little guy with me. This is my Spyderco Tenacious knife. It's a really inexpensive, very nice blade that you can get at Walmart for like $40. It's got a great sharp blade. It's got a good solid handle. It does weigh a little bit, but because I've got it in my pocket, I don't worry about it hurting my back because it's really not adding a ton of weight there. Another blade that I've taken out with me from time to time is this Maracniv fixed blade knife. This is a great little knife that is super strong, super sharp, and it looks cheap as all get out, but this thing is a beast. I've actually split wood with this. I've been able to make kindling with it. This thing has done a great job, and it's fairly inexpensive, maybe $17, $18 I think I got this for. Now where the fear comes in is when we think, oh my gosh, but what if I need to make a repair? I should probably bring this multi-tool with me. It's got pliers on it, and it's got a big knife, and I mean, it's spring-loaded, and it's got everything. It's got a screwdriver, because you know I'm gonna need a screwdriver when I'm in the backcountry. Truth be told, guys, you don't need 100 different blades. You probably don't need a multi-tool. You probably just need a knife. If you've got this, you probably don't need this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this. Oh. Sorry, I was butchering a chicken earlier. My bad. taking a blade into the backcountry is extremely useful. A lot of times if you're doing bushcraft style stuff, you might want to bring a hatchet, maybe a couple good knives and a saw. But if you're just backpacking with your friends in established trails with established campgrounds or established campsites, you really only need one knife. So when you go out in the backcountry, don't feel like you have to bring your entire knife collection to prove just how macho you are. Because truthfully, I'm not really all that macho. So don't fear, guys. One knife will get it done. You don't need to bring them all. Another thing I've seen people go overboard on are tent stakes. I mean, you got titanium shepherd's hooks that obviously bend a lot. You've got the little tiny groundhogs, the mini groundhogs that work really well. You've got the DAC ones that come with your tent. That you've got aluminum ones that you can use. You've got these kinds of groundhogs that honestly they're the same one, just this one's orange. So I like orange. It's cool. Realistically, you don't need all of these different kinds of tent stakes, but it is good to have a few extras, and I totally get that because you bend stakes. You bend them all the time. I mean, look at this guy. I probably use this thing 1,000 times, and it still is useful. It still works. It's just kind of ugly now. But this happens. This happens a lot, and you'll break stakes. You'll lose stakes. It's just going to happen, but don't weigh your pack down by bringing 5 and 6 and 7 extra stakes when you go out. You're probably not going to lose that many. When I did my first overnight, I brought the stakes that came with the tent, and I brought 3 shepherd hooks, and I bought 3 more groundhogs just in case. So basically I had 11 stakes that came with the tent and another 6 for a grand total of 17 stakes. What the heck? I can promise you, a lot of those stakes never got used on that first trip because there was no need for them and it was an overnight. How many stakes are you gonna break in one night? It is very wise to bring a few extra stakes when you go out into the backcountry, but don't go overboard with it. You're gonna have different kinds of terrain, so sometimes that shepherd's hook is gonna be the stake you wanna use. And there's gonna be other times you're in really soft ground, and if you use a shepherd's hook stake, it's gonna come right back out, and you need something that's gonna grab like a groundhog or a mini groundhog. Make sure you use one of those stakes for that. But don't feel like you have to bring every stake you own every time you go backpacking. I'm just gonna be honest, I didn't even know I had this many stakes. This is a lot of stakes. Wow. Another area where people tend to go overboard is when it comes to electronics because let's be honest, these days, we all have one of these. This is a portable GPS device you can take with you anywhere you go, known as the cell phone. Because most of us going out on the trail use our phones as GPS devices. The last thing that we need is for them to die. And so we try to make sure we have enough battery power to make sure that that item doesn't go dead on us. But again, you have to remember the trip you're on. If you're on an overnight, you know what you probably don't need? You probably don't need this. This is a 20,000 milliamp Anker battery charger that I've now had for about 5 years. This thing went to Mount Kilimanjaro with me. I used it for an entire week and didn't even empty out the battery. I still had half the battery life left when the week was over. And that was for an entire week of charging my gear. Taking this with you on an overnight trip or even a 2-day trip is probably way too much. It's probably a whole lot wiser to take something like this or something even smaller. This is a 10,000 milliamp Anker charger. This is the one I take on my smaller trips. This is the one I take when I'm doing a weekend and I don't really have a lot to charge over the weekend. I will be honest though, I am a YouTuber, and because I'm a YouTuber, I do have extra batteries that need to be charged for cameras, for GoPros. I use my phone as a camera. I use my phone to take photos. I use it as my GPS. I have an Apple Watch. And because of all those things, I do need a little bit more battery power than the average person. But if you're not a YouTuber, you don't really need to take a whole ton of batteries with you. And taking something like this or smaller is probably a much wiser option, and it weighs a whole lot less. Whether you use a smaller headlamp, your typical medium-sized headlamp, or you got one of these big old rechargeable mamma jambas, they've got to be charged or they have to have batteries in them. And a lot of times that freaks us out a little bit, and we tend to go overboard with the batteries. I've seen guys going into the backcountry who bring whole boxes of AAAs and AA's and who bring C batteries with them for some kind of a lantern or something that they're bringing on the trip with them. If you're car camping, that's no big deal. But if you're backpacking, you just don't need that much battery power. This is my Black Diamond Spot headlamp. I bought this back in August, put 3 AAA batteries in it when I got it. I've been using it at least a couple times a month since then, and it still has battery power. So I think if you bring a headlamp into the woods and you put brand new batteries in it, you're probably gonna be okay. Don't let that fear of running out of power freak you out and make you bring way too much in your backpack. Another area where people tend to go overboard is with their med kits. And as you can see, these are kind of small, they're not heavy, and really this is all you need when you go into the backcountry. A lot of people just bring too much when they go backpacking. They bring way too much gauze and tape. There's so little you actually need on an overnight or even a weekend backpacking trip as far as pure mass of need. Something like this should do you just fine. As a matter of fact, I talked about my med kit in another video, and I'll put the card up above so you can see that. You don't need to bring everything that's in your medicine cabinet when you go backpacking. And the last thing we're gonna talk about today is the one thing that beginner backpackers always bring too much of, and that's clothing. I've gone out backpacking with several people on their first trip, and every one of them to a T brings way more clothes than they realize they actually need. You're not gonna need a change of clothing for every single day. I would say go through your clothes and take out any extra outfit that you put in there and just get rid of it because you're not gonna need it. Guys, if you're trying not to stink when you're in the woods, good luck because you're gonna stink. You're hiking a lot of miles, you're gonna sweat and you're gonna smell bad. That's just kind of part of it. Embrace the stink. Listen, I'm all about layering because it is the cold time of the year. The weather is bitterly cold in some parts of the United States, and the temperature is just gonna continue to drop. We're getting ready to hit the really cold season of backpacking. So layering is important, but if you're wearing a fleece, you don't need to say, okay, I'm gonna wear the fleece, then I'm gonna wear this fleece. Then I'm gonna wear this hoodie. And then I'm gonna wear this down jacket. And I wanna stay dry, so I'm gonna wear this raincoat. And I think I'll wear this raincoat too. You don't need all of this stuff. Guys, clothing is some of the heaviest stuff that you can pack. And if you're packing all these extra clothes, you are just adding weight to your back, and it can add up fast with clothing. I know people who bring 3 pairs of underwear for a weekend. I don't do that. I'm just being honest. That's extra weight. I know people who bring 3 and 4 and 5 pairs of socks, a different pair of socks for every single day. That's a lot of weight. You don't need to do that. Listen, I'm not talking down to anybody about what you bring when you go backpacking. But what I will tell you is that you can't pack your fears. You can't just bring extra stuff because of the question, what if? If you spend your whole life saying what if, you're probably never gonna go backpacking, because what if you fall off a cliff and die? I mean, what if you break your leg on a rock or a cliff? I mean, there's so many things that could screw you up. If you're gonna be a what if person, I would not go backpacking. So don't let that dictate what you put on your back when you hit the trail. Don't allow your fears to tell you how to backpack. If you found this video useful, hit that like button, leave a comment below. I would love to know what things that you guys have packed because of fear. I would also like to know the things that I maybe missed on that people might want to know about. If you've got other ideas of things that people pack out of fear, put those in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you find out anytime one of these videos drops. Hey guys, thanks for watching. So until next time, stay strong, hike long, and we'll catch you on the next go around. Ugh. I'm holding my finger out. Why am I doing that? That looks pretentious. It's sitting down below, or it doesn't bother me. It's sitting down below. Go away, car. I don't know why I just did this. I'm gonna say it again. That's what I do. That's how I do it. Don't do it like people do it. I am not good.